of Technology, Akurefuta, Federal Polytechnic, Ilaro, and the Lagos State Polytechnic, Ikorodu. He bagged his PhD in civil engineering in the year 2023. Our guest worked as resident site engineer at Lego Constructions Limited between 2007 and 2009. Engineer Jaji joined the services of the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, Mapoli, Abeokuta in 2009. He is a principal partner of Firmed Structures. Dr. Jaji's area of research covers structural and construction materials engineering and 3D concrete printing. Our guest is one of the two 3D printed concrete experts in Nigeria. Once again, I repeat that line. Our guest is one of the two 3D printed concrete experts in Nigeria. Engineer Dr. Mustapha Bamidele Jaji, you're welcome to Engineering and You on OGPC.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Sometimes the last line actually caught my attention. Our guest is one of the two 3D printed concrete experts in Nigeria. Now, to our business for the day. Who is
Structural member we set with the aim to achieve safety, to achieve economy, to achieve comfort, and in some cases, having to achieve aesthetics.
To achieve aesthetics.
That's
Now,
what a structural engineer is. But a material engineer
okay,
is an engineer that is
mechanical engineering and the electrical and electronics engineer. So all
is an option in civil engineering.
I want to on this program to tell us more about 3D concrete printing. Why is it that there are just
like we have artificial intelligence, so 3D concrete print in the construction industry.
Wow.
So it has to do with automation of quantity to G code, send it to a system, the system interprets, send it to a printer, and the printer begins to construct your structure or your building or whatever that you intend to do. It's minimal human interference. So, and some of the advantages of 3D printing is that you have a minimal wastage of materials, you have minimal human interface, you have finesse, very good finishing, as we call finishing. Then you have the use of environmentally friendly materials, like materials always employ the services of 3D printing. So, like we have housing deficit in Nigeria. So, and in some other countries, they are already making use of 3D printing, and they are doing mass housing. In just a month, you have 5,000, 10,000 houses being constructed, and people occupy it within minimal time. So, 3D is novel. Like just because I and my colleague 3D printing. So, and that makes us the first two Nigerians to have studied 3D concrete printing at that level. So we are back home to teach people, to pass the knowledge 3D concrete printing to the Nigerian
population interference, and is actually doing it.
That is one of the disadvantages. Of course, the advantage is how to weigh printing.
You belong to the academy, looking at the curriculum.
Of course, it has to do with the subjects that you teach in engineering, and whatever you teach in engineering is what makes the engineer. So, and it is expected that the curriculum be revised. So, and the rest is left to practice. Of course, there are things you still have to learn when you field. You have to use the theory that you learned from the walls of the tertiary and from the field, You put all of them together.
together.
So generally speaking, what we have is still very valid.
Now, I just want to take you back a bit on this with the concrete printing because I'm still curious in some areas. Can this particular 3D concrete printing can it be done at a master's level? Can it also be brought down to the maybe
Undergrad.
the undergraduate level? Can it this be done? Then you studied outside the shores of Nigeria. Ordinarily, some Nigerians looking at the situation of things around us, they might want to stay over there. It's that factor that actually, you know, pinched you and intrigued you that, okay, I want to come back to Nigeria and also teach what I've learned over there to my fellow engineers.
Of course, you can teach 3D printing at the undergraduate level and at master's level. There are a lot of researches that is being done in 3D concrete printing at that level, and not only at the PhD level. So, of course, it is still very, very open, and just that what you do at the undergrad level might be a little
Different.
different from what you are going to do at the master's level, and what you are going to do at the master's level will be different from the research at the PhD level. PhD is generally elaborate, so you pick a very tiny aspect and you blow it up.
Hmm.
So you look for gap and you fill it. So at the end of a PhD, it is expected that you must have solved a problem.
Hmm.
A problem. So you must have contributed to knowledge immensely
Hmm.
before you are awarded a doctor of philosophy. Um, having said that, after studying abroad, um, I'm a very patriotic Nigerian,
That is beautiful. I
and
want people to hear from you this time around.
I also believe in loyalty.
Hmm.
Those who know me know that I stand for loyalty. I believe that we may not be there yet, but
You'll get
we
there.
will get there.
Hmm.
No matter what, if we can have loyal and committed Nigerians, and we have sectors, we can always get there. So, engineering is very open, and 3D concrete is a very new and novel area. So, and apart from that, I also feel that there are a lot of people who will need the expertise. So, you know, getting the knowledge, staying abroad is not the best for this country.
Hmm.
So, if you come back, disseminate knowledge, who came from you, and in the long run, the economy of the country improves.
Loyalty is very
So
key.
loyalty is very key.
Very, very key. Okay, let's open the phone lines this lovely evening for our listeners to be part of this conversation. You can call 0803 437 9453. 0803 437 9453 and 0815 0320226. Do you have any questions for our guest? Do you have any suggestion? Do you have anything to ask from our guest about 3D printing this lovely evening? Please feel free to call the lines 0803 437 9453 and 0815 0320226. Once again is Engineer Dr. Mustapha Bamidele Jaji. Engineer Jaji, now what is your take on town and gown relationship in engineering training in Nigeria? Do you think this is necessary?
Yeah, of course, town and gown relationship or synergy
Yeah.
is very, very necessary. It's not only in Nigeria, even outside the shores of this country. In fact, outside the shores of this country is an area that is being explored. Town and gown is being explored.
Hmm.
Although we cannot say the same with what we have here, though we are also coming up. But outside the shores of this country, you can see that the relationship between town and gown is about 90% out of, you know,
The total 100.
total of 100.
Hmm.
Now, let me be general about it. If you cite an institution in a new area, some of the things that would happen is that you have to create road to that place.
Yes.
You have to provide infrastructure. In the immediate term, you find out that the institution generates employment. So the people are employed, engineers are employed, non-engineers are also employed. So the activity, the atmosphere of that area improves. So even houses will start springing up because you have students who will be coming in and they want to. So if you look at the engineering or institution into a particular area, that it changes the atmosphere level, the development of the country or the society. You look at the synergy should be that when the town is looking for answers, they run to the gown.
Gown, yes.
So it's the gown who is responsible for research. So the gown provides answers to whatever question that's been asked
by the town.
So that is the town and gown relationship. So it is expected that the town should fund research. You know, you should fund research because research is what happens in tertiary institutions. They solve problems. So there are times when some industries will need to do it, will give you certain amount of money. I have seen a lot of this outside the shores of this country, where even they will be willing to employ to fund PhD study just to find a solution to the problem. So the typical relationship is found overseas, where these industries that can be classified as the town or the society, find the need to search for solution to problems. And of course, the town is all about problems. If you move around, you find problems here and there that is looking for solution. So it is expected that there should be a relationship. In the case of Nigeria, one cannot, I was talking about what obtains abroad, saying, but in recent time in Nigeria, things have bring, so you cannot say that there's a relationship of 50-50. You cannot say so, except we want to be economical with the truth. So we need a collaboration, for us to train engineers of this millennium, engineers of this 21st century, engineers that can solve problems. We need the town, the institutions need collaboration. You need to bring in money. You need to believe that solutions can come out from the universities, because we are else you find out that people will living where the the institutions are not funded, where you don't have good laboratories, where you don't have equipment for all of these researches.
And the enabling environment is not there.
And the environment is not enabled. There are no incentives. So these are all of the challenges that is not making the synergy work well
in Nigeria
as expected in Nigeria.
0803 437 9453, 0803 437 9453, and 0815 032 0226. Our guest once again is Engineer Dr. Mustapha Bamidele Jaji. Now, Engineer Jaji, you have a PhD in civil engineering. What are the new trends in civil engineering? I want you to take us through the latest in the world of engineering. Like you said the other time, we need to update our curriculum probably every 5 years. So, the latest in the civil engineering world, what are they?
Yeah, from what I have seen so far, from my years of a PhD study outside the shores of this country, I have seen that there's something called modeling.
Modeling.
Yeah, you model a real life situation. You don't have to you don't have to do it. You can always model it. So there are softwares that you can idealize a situation, idealize a problem, input all the necessary material characteristics. Then, for example, you can say that I want to look at a high-rise building. How does wind affect the building? How, if it's an earthquake area, what will happen if there's earthquake? What will happen to the structure? So you can actually idealize a problem and model it and find the magnitude of the magnitude of the effect of what you are looking at on that structure. So it's beyond wanting to demolish a building. It's also about looking at what factor can be responsible for the demolition in future and finding solution during the construction stage. And that is why in areas where you have earthquake, they already fix those building with anti-earthquake materials, materials that can, safeguard that building from earthquake. So these are some of so modeling basically. Then automation.
Okay.
Everything is being automated. Artificial intelligence is coming on. Like you have it in other areas, it is the in thing in civil engineering now. So artificial intelligence in road construction, artificial intelligence in building construction, artificial intelligence in bridge construction, in dam construction. So a lot of shapes that you will hitherto not be able to construct using the conventional construction approach is being with artificial intelligence. So and that's why you can see different shapes and you look at it and you say, wow, how did they come about this? It is just automation. So that is the way to go now. And Nigeria must move. Nigeria must not be left behind in the scheme of things as far as automation in construction is concerned.
Now, there was a situation in a nearby state in Lagos where you go to a ministry, I think Ministry of Lands and Housing and all sorts, to get a permission to build maybe a 15-story building. And eventually, you will realize that maybe the building is up to 21, 22, 23. And eventually, when you experience something like a collapse and all sorts, they will tell you that they only approved so numbers of story building and it built beyond that. What comes to your mind? And engineers are always pointed at in a situation like that.
What comes to mind is just about number one, regulations, number two, enforcement. So those are the two things. Then number three, let me see, number three, patriotism. Then maybe number four, honesty.
Honesty.
So you see, when those itemized um,
Points.
points are not followed in construction, you will always have collapse. So when I say regulation is that fine, before you start building, you must take the necessary permits. As you continue to build, you must do the necessary tests. The engineers from the ministry or the authority must come and certify what you are doing. Registered engineers must be on the job. All of these things in construction has their purposes, and it is expected that you follow it through as you do construction, because building construction is just like human being. It's also a life cycle. You have to start it, you have to end it, you have to use it. It must have a lifespan before you demolish. So once you start using inferior material or the quality of workmanship becomes poor, you are likely, and at any particular point in time, you are likely going to have maybe a collapse. So that or a defect. So that is for regulation. Then when it comes to enforcement, we have to really work on our enforcement, because even when you have the regulations, you have the procedures, and it is not enforced, or some people are bigger than even the law. Some are more equal. You tend to have like somebody that was where a building was approved 15 story and we ended up building 21. It means that enforcement was not properly done.
Engineer Jaji, I want you to sell engineering to us in less than 120 seconds.
Now, engineering is a field that's open. It's very open. It's a field that has not been thoroughly explored. It's just a field of human endeavor that will continue to be relevant. So as far as I'm concerned, we still don't have enough hands. So for whoever is listening to me, that is upcoming. This is an area where you can explore. It's an area that still needs human capacity. It's an area where you can make a living and you can contribute, which is also open to development of the society.
All right. So as we wrap, choose a career in engineering and your pattern short program.
Yeah, I started on the polytechnic.
Oh,
You know, I'm from a not too um, wealthy background. You know, I started from the polytechnic.
so it's from grass to grace.
So I moved from. You can see when you were reading, you said federal poly. You can't mention my name without talking about Lagos State Polytechnic, Federal Polytechnic in Laro. So you can see that I attended two
So
polytechnics,
polytechnics, yes.
and thereafter I did construction. Those were in civil engineering,
Hmm.
and I did construction management, Federal University of Technology, PGD.
Hmm.
So you can see that I did all of the diplomas before I did direct entry to the University of Ibadan for a bachelor's degree, and thereafter a master's. And then, so it was a case of starting from
The
scratch, moving up the ladder. Gently, I was moving. I was not, though I know what I wanted, but I was not sitting back.
back.
I was moving.
Oh.
So this can motivate feel that they need to move forward. They can always do it gently. You can be a slow walker, but make sure you're not moving backward, according to Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. And according to Engineer Jaji, this lovely evening, patriotism and loyalty is very, very important in everything we do. That is how we call it a wrap on this week's edition of Engineering and You on OGBC 9.5 FM. Sincere appreciation once again to our engineer who happens to be one of the two 3D printed concrete experts in Nigeria, Engineer Dr. Mustapha Bamidele Jaji. Thank you so much for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Must also acknowledge the input of Francis Enrosho, the ICT man, Dr. Ndowu, is the sound manager, Titilope Awobajo Adeyanka, have been giving us the much needed support from behind the scene. This program, Engineering and You, is proudly sponsored by Engineer Mrs. Funlayo Waid Adekojo, FNSA, and powered by the Nigerian Society of Engineers. This is the production of Abiodun Adelodu, and the executive producer remains Tony Shobeso. My name is Temitope Babalola. Please do have a beautiful evening and please do join us at past 6 next week Monday for a fresh edition of Engineering and You. Please do have a beautiful evening. Thank you so much.